Oh, hello and welcome to Group C of the UK StarCraft 2 League. I am RazerBlader and joining me is Phoenix. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really excited for today's games. Obviously, we have Risky, the #1 player in the UK in the group, and then TeebuL as well, who's another strong favorite, who's the last player to beat Risky at a LAN event. So, alongside that, we got Savage, obviously, and Amit, who are both players who are underdogs but could still cause an upset on the day.
Yeah, like in the past groups, in groups A and B, we saw quite a few surprising results. So even though in this group I'd say we have two heavy favorites and two very much so underdogs, you never know. Like we've had some crazy results with Gamer Richie ending up fourth in his group, Johnny Rico being eliminated. So I'm really excited to see if these underdogs have pulled out any tricks.
Yeah, obviously, we're starting first with Savage versus Amis, so we'll
Oh,
get a
I
look
think
at both.
TeebuL versus Amos.
Oh, team is voice damage. My bad. Sorry.
No, no, that's all right. They're
Um,
just doing the vetoes right now.
yeah. So we'll get a look at how both of these players are doing at the moment. Obviously, Savage didn't qualify to this group, but was replaced due to Purge dropping out. So we'll see how he does.
Yeah, he's definitely the most deserving person to be here who didn't qualify. I think he came very close in multiple qualifiers, and then in the very last qualifier, he couldn't make it. And I think if he could have attended that one, he probably would have qualified. So I'm glad that he did manage to get into the tournament, as I think he does belong here.
For sure. There was a qualifier game where it was a Lingle win from his opponent, and he came within inches of winning that game pretty much. So he was so close to qualifying through the qualifiers. So he does definitely deserve to be here.
Yeah, and he hasn't really had much time to prepare. I think he only just found out yesterday or the day before that he was playing. So he might not have too much special stuff prepared. He might have to just rely on his mechanics.
Hmm. I think he's generally a very macro-oriented player anyway, so hopefully it shouldn't hinder his play too much, since he plays, in general, pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, he plays quite standard, but in the past, I know he used to like his Roach Ravager a lot, and especially his Corrosive Biles are one of the best I've ever seen. So maybe if he brings out some of that old past history in himself, he can do something.
And then, of course, we have TeebuL in this first game, who is, as I said earlier, is the last player to ever beat Risky at a LAN event. So, as a player, he's definitely a strong favorite to go far in this tournament.
Yeah, like that was 3 years ago, and then he had his chance at revenge at Epic LAN a few weeks back, and he did lose 0-3 to Risky. So he is going to be looking for revenge now.
Even then, though, he did finish third place at that Epic LAN, so it's not like he's dropped off in skill level at all, really.
Yeah, for sure. He'd had a really strong showing, and he's definitely one of the favorites for this whole tournament. Like, I think most of the players who've qualified so far for the round of 8 have been playing at Epic LAN as well. So, like Mystic, Zane, Asta, they've all played at Epic LAN. Whereas Matt, he's a bit of a newcomer.
Yeah,
So,
there's a few players in the tournament at the moment who I haven't had much personal experience with, but seem to be very strong players. And I've seen them play in the qualifiers and in online tournaments. And Amis in this game is one of those players. He's a player who I'm quite excited to see play today. See maybe he can cause an upset or anything like that.
yeah, he is like a 5.2k Terran, so definitely quite a strong player. And he's played quite a lot this season, about 1,000 games. And I did cast some of his games in the qualifiers, and he seems like a very solid macro Terran.
Yeah, so it looks like we're just preparing to jump into the first game here. It'll be on Triton. And what do you think about, as a Terran player, what do you think about Triton in TVP?
I think it has quite a short rush distance, natural to natural. And I think two base pushes are very good as Terran on that. You can get some nice like tank positions, and there's like a little low ground between the natural and the third, which is really nice to siege up with mines or tanks. but once you get into the mid-late game, it becomes a bit awkward with all the chokes. So Colossus and Disruptors become very powerful. Yeah, so I like to end the game quite early on Triton with my 2-base push. Alright, we're nearly ready to get into game, just loading up in the lobby. And we do have Bel Air casting on the German stream as well, so if any of you guys are German, feel free to open that up as well and check out Bel Air's stream.
Yeah, he's been working really hard. Obviously, he's solo casted all of the qualifiers and all the groups so far, so definitely deserves the support.
Yeah, he is a really good caster as well. Like, I understand some German, and what I've heard is top-notch. So, what's your prediction then for this series? TeebuL versus Amos?
Well, I think TeebuL has to be considered the favorite, given that he's the higher MMR player and the higher tournament. He has better tournament results than Amos overall, but I think I'm not sure whether they've really played each other before competitively, so maybe
Yeah.
it'll be a bad matchup for TeebuL. You never know.
Yeah, I don't think they've played in the past, but TeebuL's about 6,000 MMR, I'd say. Yeah, with Amos at 5.2k, there's about an 800 MMR deficit. So, in general, it's very hard to overcome that sort of deficit, especially in a macro game, which Amos seems to like playing.
For sure. Maybe Amos will have prepared some unique builds though for this matchup, which we might not have been expecting.
Yeah, definitely. And I think TeebuL, he's a bit weak to those sort of things as well. Like, he likes to be in his rhythm, and if you can throw him off and get some early game harassment done, I think that's how you can cripple him.
So the game timer has started. We'll be jumping into game within a few seconds.
All right. We'll be loading into Triton shortly. All right, so spawning in the top left as the red Protoss representing red dragons, we have TeebuL.
And in the bottom right hand corner, we have the blue Terran player. It is Amos.
Amos currently seems to be his teamless, so if any of you guys are looking for a solid Terran, maybe hit him up.
Yeah, definitely seems to be a good enough player considering he managed to qualify for this tournament, which the qualifiers are extremely stacked, so anyone that's looking out for him definitely has some competitive results to back it up.
Yeah, so straight away we see nothing cheeky from any player. Amos building his barracks at home, and TeebuL just scouting as normal. He is looking a bit around for proxies, so he is a bit worried.
I think obviously you have to be cautious in any matchup, so it's exactly the right way. TeebuL should be starting this game. Nothing unusual for either player though, thus far.
Yeah, and TeebuL's going to go for a cybernetics core before the Nexus, so this helps you be a bit more aggressive with your first adept. And also it just helps you shoo that Reaper away a bit easier.
And on the other side, it'd be just a typical Reaper expand from the Terran player.
Yeah, yes, it's 100% textbook standard build so far. Oh, quite interesting TeebuL didn't try and block the CC going down there.
Yeah, he definitely could have done. There was enough time with the probe, but
Yeah, but just a little thing. I guess sometimes you want to see the CC going down, otherwise your opponent might be mind gaming you. Sometimes you just want to say, okay, put it down and let me see what you're doing. All right, yep. And we see an Adept as the first unit. That's nothing too special, just hope to shoo the Reaper away, and we should see the tech coming down fairly soon from TeebuL. Oh, this is quite interesting. We see a second barracks, and a third barracks already on the way from Amos. So I don't know if TeebuL quite has vision of those barracks. I think it's probably just out of vision of the probe, but this is going to be quite a committed 3 racks, probably stim push.
Yeah. We were saying earlier that TeebuL struggles against early aggressive play, so maybe this will be the type of thing which Amos needs to do in this series to catch TeebuL off guard. And it doesn't seem like he has vision quite yet.
Yeah, TeebuL does not have vision of those extra barracks building. So it's very important for TeebuL that he scouts this soon, and that he gets shield batteries ready and starts to slow down this push.
He will lose only the one SCV, but there is some damage done by the Adept there. And the probe will eventually get into the main and see these two extra barracks. So TeebuL now knows what his opponent's doing.
Yeah, he loses the Reaper, but definitely worth it. He sees exactly what's happening, so he should be able to make the necessary preparations. So he's going for Blink and going up to 3 gates. So it's really good to just get a lot of Stalkers out and just keep kiting the push when it comes and to slow it down. And you want to also delay your third base quite a bit against this because it's quite hard to hold. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going into 3-gate Blink as the defense here, with the Robo on the way. So I think now that TeebuL knows, he should be able to hold this off. Depending on whether he doesn't make a huge mistake, which a player of TeebuL's quality, you wouldn't expect him to.
Yeah, he's getting a shield battery, he's getting a lot of Stalkers and even a sentry, so I think TeebuL's going to be perfectly fine against this push. And we still don't have a factory on the way yet from Amos, so it's going to be a long time before Medivacs are even out.
Yeah, I think he's definitely just intending to push with no Medivac on the looks of things. I would expect him to just push across the map as soon as Stim finishes.
Yeah, he should be pushing very shortly, but his follow-up is going to be very late. Like, I wonder if he'll throw down a third base now, or whether he'll get a factory and maybe even throw down more barracks.
Yeah, I definitely worry for Amos if this push doesn't do enough damage, what his transition is going to be in the later game, since his tech is obviously hugely delayed.
Yeah, and TeebuL doing a follow-up scout with that hallucination, and he sees still no third base on the way, and he saw the factory, how late that was. So TeebuL's going up for Robotics Bay, probably to make Colossus.
Yeah, Colossus obviously extremely strong against fire units.
Yeah.
Especially with no Medivacs in play.
Yeah, because as the Terran, you need at least probably 4 Medivacs, and then you start making Vikings. So it's going to be so hard to get enough Vikings to deal with these Colossus.
And the Mist will push straight for third base location, and they'll find out that there is no third base, so it's forced to turn around.
Yeah, TeebuL just now takes the third base once the army is retreated, so good timing by him.
Yeah, I think TeebuL's played this super cleanly so far. Obviously, Amos had a bit of a mistake letting the probe get into the main base, and if he hadn't seen that, then maybe that push would have been able to do some damage.
Yeah, for sure. And we do see the 5 racks follow up from Amos, so he is going to go for even more aggression and try to end the game on 2 bases with a ton of bio units and probably some Medivacs.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the right decision here, since Amos is already so far behind in tech, where he couldn't really delay the game long enough to put himself into a tech to get his tech even without making him a huge disadvantage for himself.
Yeah, it's a really hard choice because you also don't want to go into a macro game against TeebuL from behind.
Yeah.
But Colossus are so good against these sort of 2-base pushes. Once you have 2-3 Colossus out with Thermal Lance, it's so hard to do anything against that.
Thermal Lance is just about to finish in 5 seconds, so any kind of push TeebuL has the upgrades against it. He has the unit composition against it. It's going to be really difficult for him to be able to push in successfully here.
Yeah, he is up in supply though, so he does have a big army. Oh, and he's pulling the boys. I like this.
Yeah.
I really like that. Like, this is his moment to make something happen, and he's putting everything he's got into it. Wow, TeebuL has so many pylons around the map. He has such good map vision.
Yeah, he's
So-
already spotted it with that probe there, so he should be aware of what's going on. And if he hadn't, then that pylon has definitely confirmed it.
Ooh,
And his
TeebuL,
army will get into position on the high ground.
yeah, so TeebuL is going to sack the third base. He's evacuated the probes from there. That's quite a wise decision. But it does mean that Amos could potentially send his SCVs back home, take a third base of his own, and go into a longer game.
And
Ooh, this
like
army
might be
might
the
get
cool
force fielded.
Amos here.
Ooh, Amos going to go for it. But nice force fields by TeebuL, just getting some pickoffs. But all the boys are coming back in.
We will pick off that Immortal, which is the only one in the army. The Colossus are obviously the big units here, where he needs to get down. So doing huge amounts of damage, and with the warping, I think TeebuL should be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's so hard to push up that natural ramp against 3 Colossus. And
Yeah, the Colossus are the real MVPs of the fight, just absolutely raining down above on these higher units, and that is GG.
wow, that was a very decisive fight there. Amos just losing everything.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with TeebuL that game. Just played a very nice defensive game. Was able to hold off convincingly.
Yeah, I feel at the end there, if Amos just turned back around after killing the third base and took a third base of his own, he could have been in a decent shot in the macro game. But I guess maybe he wasn't confident enough to do that. And also, once you see that army down the ramp, it's very tempting to just stim in and hope your opponent makes some mistakes with his force fields. But TeebuL had wonderful control and took that fight convincingly.
Yeah, for sure. So the second map will be Ephemeron, and how do you think that Amos can pull himself back on this map?
Oh, it is quite a good defensive map for Protoss because there's like 2 little narrow ramps, one to your natural, one to your third. So again, it's quite easy to defend with Colossus. So maybe some sort of Hellion Banshee style aggression might be good. Just to really dwindle that worker count in the early phases of the game. Yeah, we're shortly loading into Ephemeron. Alright. In the top left, currently up 1-0 in this best of 3, we have the red Protoss representing Red Dragons, TeebuL.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the currently teamless Blue Terran player. It is Amos.
Ooh.
Currently 1-0 down in this series, so needs
Alright.
to win this game in order to pull it back.
I like this, sending an SCV out the map straight away, so he is going to do something very cheeky this game.
Yeah, I think this is probably the smart play, as you said, that he does need to do something special to pull himself back, because against higher level players, the MMR difference is like 800 between these two players, and against higher level players, winning a macro game is obviously going to be quite difficult. So your best bet is probably to do some aggressive strategy and hope that you can catch them off guard with it.
Yeah, so this looks like it's going to be a proxy marauder, but with also a barracks at home. So it's a bit tricky to scout whether this is coming. If TeebuL knows his stuff, he might see that the main base is missing an SCV, and from there he can deduce that it's a proxy. But it's quite hard to tell.
Yeah, even then it's quite difficult, especially since an SCV just pops out from the CC as soon as he gets there. It's like, how would you, without individually counting all of them, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, and also the barracks is a little bit late at the main base, so that's another sign, but it's very subtle.
Yeah, I actually think he's hidden this really well. TeebuL may know, but I actually doubt it, considering the way he sculpted just then.
Yeah, yeah. So TeebuL is coming in for follow-up scout, and he's going to start getting suspicious with no CC going down. Like Amos did a really cute job there, pretending he wants to put down a CC.
Yeah, and he throws the probe back in there to try and spot the second second SUV coming down for the CC, which is what happened last game. But he doesn't see it, so now he'll potentially be clued into what's going on.
Oh, and he knows something fishy is coming. He
Yeah.
throws on the short battery, and he's going to see the proxy. Yeah, but very good spider sense there by TeebuL, deducing that something was wrong.
Yeah, I really liked pulling the probe back into the natural because it threw off. He used what he'd seen in the first game to his advantage. Since he'd thrown the second SUV down in the first game, but he didn't in the second game.
So this is going to be 3 Raxes of Marauders, so just pure Marauder. Let's see, there's 2 Stalkers versus 2 Marauders. Oh, Concussive Shells finishes a bit too late.
Obviously, Concussive Shell is really good against Stalkers. Completely slows down their movement speed.
Yeah, but that was very good by TeebuL, taking the fight just before the second Marauder popped. So TeebuL, he kills 2 Marauders and loses nothing. That's a very good start for him.
And obviously, having one barracks back home, the rallies are going to be quite weird for Amos, since one of his Marauders is always going to be much later to the fight.
Yeah, this was very bold by TeebuL, trying to move out the map with his Stalkers, and he is going to lose all of his Stalkers for that.
Yeah, that's actually really nice for Amos, and
Yeah,
will he be able to capitalize on it though with 3 shield batteries back in the natural and an immortal on the way?
Yeah, 3 batteries, that's so hard to break. There's only just 1 Stalker right now, so that doesn't deal that much DPS. I think 4 Marauders can out DPS a shield battery.
Yeah, they can, by the looks of things. And Amos should kill this down now. But with the immortal out, this will be the real tell of whether he was able to do anything here.
Yeah, this immortal was so strong against Marauders. TeebuL being very adventurous there, moving far out of the map. Oh, he might lose.
Oh, and he's managed to catch the immortal. And he will kill it, essentially.
Yeah, I think TeebuL
really huge for
he might turn this around. Yeah, he's getting the Stalkers, but the shield batteries are doing very good work. And
now that Warpgate has finished, TeebuL definitely has a big advantage, as he'll be able to warp units in much faster than Amos can make them. So
yeah, and another Immortal's here to join the fray.
Yeah, and I think TeebuL will just about hold this in the end.
Yeah, it looked quite dicey. GG. TeebuL wins the series 2-0 in a very quick fashion. I did like Amos's play overall. He tried one quite aggressive build in game 1, and then he tried a very aggressive cheese in game 2. So those are the sorts of strategies you need to beat a player 800 MMR higher than you. But TeebuL's spider sense was just too good, and he figured out what was going on in both games.
Yeah, for sure. When the first Immortal went down, I thought that Amos actually had a huge opportunity in that game, but I think Warp Prism finishing was like put TeebuL into a huge advantage.
Yeah, just having that warp gate lets you warp in stuff so much faster, and TeebuL never even had to pull the probes. Like, pulling the probes is very strong against Marauders as well, especially when you have shield batteries. So whilst it looked dicey for a bit, I think TeebuL was always in full control of that game as soon as he scouted what was up. Alright, so we're going to be going into Savage versus Risky shortly.
Yeah, obviously Risky, widely regarded as the best player in the UK, and is definitely the clear favourite to take this whole tournament. Whereas Savage is, as I said earlier, didn't originally qualify for this group, but was given the group placement after Purge dropped out. And Savage is obviously a very strong player as well, so we'll see if he's able to get anything done in this CVC.
Yeah, he does have a blessing, though, the not supposed to be here blessing. I know, I find in a lot of tournaments when there's a player who's brought in as a replacement or something, they often tend to overperform. Like, for example, Morrow, you know that tournament Morrow won over Idra? He wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be there. He was a sort of replacement. He ended up winning the whole thing.
Mm.
I think there's a couple of other tournaments that have been like that as well.
I think I don't know what you could say about not deserving, but last year you had a laser making it to the GSL versus the World Final, and there was a lot of controversy over whether he deserved to be there or not.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna have a ZVZ, and I don't think Savage and Risky have ever played each other before in a tournament game.
Really,
No, no, they haven't, according to
that's
Linky. Like,
that's very surprising considering they're both veterans of the UK scene and both attend LAN regularly. Yeah, it's quite surprising to me.
yeah, so it'll be interesting if Savage has anything prepared, because when you're going into Epic Lands, you always have a strategy in mind which you're saving for Risky, and he hasn't got to use them if he has prepared them, so now's his chance. But but of course, Risky is a super strong opponent. He is probably about 1,000 MMR higher than Savage, so it's going to
Yeah,
be extremely tough to make anything happen.
it's definitely a game where well anyone is going to be uh, like not favored against Risky, but I think with the MMR difference being so high in this one, Risky is going to be the strong favorite for sure.
Yeah, we did see Savage take out Mix at Epic LAN. That was quite a strong result by him. So he has shown that he can beat higher MMR Zerg players, but he's going to have to do it very well this game.
So we
Right.
will be loading into our first map here, which would be Triton, and it's a map which is generally pretty good for macro ZVZ. Um, Obviously the main's kind of big, so you could do some Nidus play if you wanted to, but we don't see that too commonly anymore in ZVZ.
Oh, I'd like to see it. All right. In the top left, spawning as a red Zerg representing red dragons, we have Savage.
And in the bottom right hand corner, we have from Blocksport Lions, the Blue Zerg, it is Risky.
All right, so straight away, no early pulls. So nothing too crazy from either player just yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure Savage is someone to go for early pulls particularly, but I have definitely seen Risky do it in the past. Um,
Yeah, it's quite a strong way to throw off a player who you think's weaker than you by you yourself being the aggressor.
yeah, ZVZ is obviously one of those matchups which tends to be very aggressive. It's usually decided in the early game with Ming Bane battles or early cheeses, but can go to late game with like the Roach, Ravager, Lurker style type thing, but it's quite unusual.
Yeah, it's always good fun if we get to that late game in ZVZ. Like for a mirror matchup, I find ZVZ late game really fun to watch.
With Vipers abducting each other and things like that.
Yeah, that is cool. And we see almost exactly mirror build so far, like you can see in the production tab. There's almost no difference at all.
Yeah, this is just a standard opening in ZVZ, like 16 hatch, and then a gas pool. Um, we'll see where the deviation in builds comes in when we get towards whether we're going Wingbane style or straight into two base Roach or something like that. I know Savage likes to play two base Roach styles, so we'll see if he
Yeah,
goes for anything like that.
yeah. And also, Savage, he almost beat Figaro in one of the qualifiers, I believe. It was a 2-1 win to Figaro in the
Yeah,
end.
he did. I casted that game. It was quite a good one. Figaro, obviously, another very strong Zerg player. 5.8k, I believe, or something like that.
I think he's actually 6k right now. Epic LAN, he played quite a bit, and he climbed the ladder at LAN, which is quite unusual. Normally people tank their MMR when they play at LAN.
Yeah, so Savage is able to almost beat a 6K player, then it does say good things about his chances in this game against Risky. But even then, I think Risky is so good that anyone is going to be at a huge disadvantage when playing against.
Yeah. And we do see a Baneling Nest coming down by Risky. Do you think this is just defensive Baneling Nest, or is he trying to
Yeah,
get
I would say
aggressive?
so. I would generally say that it's pretty defensive, especially since he hasn't seen any type of like quick stuff from Savage. So you just place it down, so you're safe from anything.
Yeah. Both players
Well,
making quite a few lings right now. And we do see a Roach Warren from Savage.
I think in ZVZ, once you see that your opponent has a Roach Warren, you have to take your own Roach Warren, since Banelings, Ling Bane does not scale well at all against Roaches, unless they have a like extremely low number of them out on the map. So as soon as Risky scouts there's a Roach Warren, then he'll have to take his own. But until then, Risky does have the advantage, obviously, with his Banelings.
Yeah, so there's a little skirmish going on. Ooh, the Baneling's getting close, but no connections just yet. So this is some nice pressure by Risky. He is droning behind this, so it's not like, too committed. So he's just trying to force units and maybe get some damage done. We already see Savage at 27 workers compared to the 39 of Risky.
Ooh, the Baneling does manage to get into the mineral line, takes down 3 drones to really low health. So this run by from these lings might be able to do something. And he's also going to pick off 3 roaches, which is really nice from Risky. Maybe even more than that.
Wow, and this isn't even that all in. And on the other side of the map, we did see Risky lose some workers to a ling run by Savage.
But I definitely think it was worth it, considering he's killed about 7 or 8 roaches for like 20 or so lings, which is hugely worth it for Risky.
Yeah, the supply is quite close, but Risky is more than 10 workers ahead. So as time goes on, he's going to be able to get more and more of a large army.
Yeah, I really like Risky's position in this game so far. I think if Savage had managed to keep those roaches alive, he'd be quite far ahead. But with the worker lead and with him picking off those roaches, I think Risky's in a really nice position.
Yeah, Savage, he's kind of forced to do a push across the map, but as he's pushing, Risky's going to run by with a ton of lings. Ooh, nice Baneling hits there, cleaning most of the lings.
He does, but Risky does manage to get 3 of the workers anyway.
Yeah, and this push by Savage, let's see if he can do much. Risky is making 2 spines, so he's respecting this push.
I think he's going to sack the 3rd base here, which is the correct decision.
Yeah, the Savage, he is really committed to this. He just has 22 workers compared to the 40 of Risky.
I think now that Savage has killed the 3rd base, he should just turn around and drone up, but I'm not sure whether that's what he's intending to do in this situation.
Yeah, these look like pretty aggressive Banelings to me. It looks like he's going to try and go for it, but
you can't really push up this ramp.
Yeah, with 2 spines there, I think he's not going to commit.
Maybe you'll just attempt to contain him on 2 bases for as long as possible, which is what those Banelings are for.
I see, but Risky, he's got quite a nice army himself now with a few Ravagers in the mix, quite a few Roaches, a handful of Banelings.
Yeah, and eventually Savage will just turn around, which is the absolute right decision. He needs to try and capitalize on the fact that he's killed that 3rd base and try to take an economic lead in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And so we do see both players going back to their bases and just macroing up, because Savage, he's almost caught up in drones now. He's just 7 workers behind now. Oh, now only 2 workers. We just had a late drones finish.
Although Savage has also hit a pretty major supply block here. He's had to go 4 overlords. I'm not really sure how that happened. Maybe just a lapse in macro.
Yeah, it can happen in these high pressure scenarios. Oh, we don't have a layer from Savage actually.
Yeah,
that's quite a big problem.
And Risky has started to spire, so we'll probably see mutas coming out here from from Risky, I would expect. He could go into Corruptors, but I wouldn't think so, since I'm not sure Brutal Lord type thing in ZVZ is that good at the moment.
Yeah, I think it'll be Mutas, and I don't really think Savage has much to respond to that. It's really important he gets a scout off in the main
Yeah.
base of Risky and throws down a ton of Spore Crawlers.
Yeah, you definitely need an Overseer to be moving into that main base around now and trying to see what Risky's doing, especially since he hasn't scouted in his main for so long in this game.
Yeah, but Risky, he doesn't have much gas banked at all, so he's only going to be able to afford like 3 mutas if he does choose to make mutas.
Yeah, especially since he's only just now retaking those 2 gases in his third base. He hasn't been mining off 3 bases like he would have wanted to be for the whole game, so he will be behind on the mutant production. One thing I do like is that both players have clumps of lings out on the map with the ability to run by at any time. Risky's on the left side and Savage on the right side here, so they're gambling on whenever their opponent's army moves out, they can push back into their base and do a little counter attack with the lings.
Yeah, it's a really nice touch just to always have that in the game, and I think both players are learning from Reina in that regard. Yeah, and we do see +2 missile weapons already on the way for Risky. And let's see, so his mutas, his flock of 4 5 mutalisks, they're killing overlords and they should be forcing some spore crawlers, but I don't think Risky's going to commit too much to any more mutalisks than this.
Yeah, these mutas might get a huge amount of damage done here, as this mineral line is completely unprotected. You already have 9 drones going down. It's probably going to get even more than that.
Wow, just 5 mutas killing so many workers. And,
yeah, this is huge amounts of damage from Risky, and I think Savage is really paying for not scouting the main base of his opponent here.
Yeah, when you're behind it, it's really hard to afford that scout, because his layer was so late, Savage's was, so he couldn't even get that Overseer quickly enough. And yeah, this is becoming a bit of a disaster now for Savage.
Yeah,
he just
sure.
didn't have anything, and his economy is completely ruined now, and his army is smaller as well.
Yeah, with 22 workers going down and a couple of overlords, there's just not much Savage could really do in this situation to pull himself back, unless he got like a dream fight against Risky's army.
Yeah, no, I think Risky is going to be attacking soon. He's maxed, and I think he realizes he can end the game with this push. So let's see if Savage can somehow muster a defense.
Since Savage didn't have his lair for so long, his roach speed isn't even finished, so Risky could even kite this army back and fight alongside that. Because off creep, Savage's roaches just won't be able to fight against Risky's army.
Yeah, that is really brutal here for Savage. Let's see. Yeah, Savage realizes the fight wouldn't go well for him.
Yeah, really clean play from Risky there. As you would expect from him. The top player in the UK, like. But even then, there's some mistakes which Savage made, which put himself really behind in the game.
So, what do you think his biggest mistake was in that game?
I'd say him not getting a lair when he could have done. Obviously, he was behind in drones, but I still think he had the money to build a lair. And going for a later lair really punished him there with the muted play and not being able to scout it. I think Savage was in a really strong position when he killed Risky's third base, and then he did the right thing to contain him for a bit before turning home and building up his economy again. I just think he didn't scout for those mutas, and if he had, then he would have been in an okay position that game.
Yeah, I think even when he killed the third base, Savage was still in a bit of trouble. His worker count was just inferior to Risky's.
For sure, but I definitely think that had the game gone on longer, then that would have paid off for Savage in terms of economy-wise, because he did able to equalize the drone count.
Alright, so spawning in the bottom right-hand side, currently 1-0 down in the series, we have Red Dragon's Savage.
And in the top left-hand corner, the blue Zerg player from Bloodsport Lions. It is Risky.
To be fair, he does play Protoss sometimes, and very oftenly on the ladder.
Ooh, interesting here. We'll see the early pool coming out by Savage. He's gonna look to get aggressive in this game.
So was this a 12 pool?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no gas behind this, so is this just a quick 6 to 8 links to try and deny the natural whilst you take your own?
Yeah. It's either that or it's a defensive 12 pool, which I wouldn't expect him to go for. So I'd say that it's definitely going to be an aggressive play out of Savage here.
What about the build where you pull all the drones and you make spines and stuff as well? Any chance of that coming?
It's actually a really strong build, but Savage has how many workers? He has 14, so it actually could be that build.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is.
See the drones? The children on the way?
This build is actually a really strong build, and I like it a lot. But Risky will see it with this Overlord now. Yep. And the response here is you want to try and you need to try and hold off for as long as possible so that it's fine until you have your own wings out, and don't let his spines get up. Because if spines get up, then you pretty much lose the game. If you're able to take a fight before his spines go up and win, then he's in a really strong spot.
Alright, first spine planted. So Savage, you really want to protect the spine, right? To make sure that it can go up.
Risky's doing the right thing here, is stacking his workers on the mineral patches so that he can't get a good fight around them. And now that the lings are out, it's all about the quality of the fight that Risky takes here.
Oh, it's so hard to tell who's winning these fights, but it looks like Savage is getting the upper hand.
Yeah, it looks that way to me. But with the defensive lings coming out here, he has the rally time lead, and I think Risky.
Whoa!
Just about to lose this game.
He lost everything. Risky's got one drone left in that fight. Oh my God, Savage! The dark horse, he's doing it.
Might have just taken this game with the.
Wow, that drone's
Queen was obviously strong, but I think Savage will just take it.
Oh my God, Savage! He did it. He bleeds. The king has lost a map. Wow, a great little cheese there by Savage. And
obviously those fights are really difficult to commentate since the drones are all stacked up on top of each other, and it's quite difficult to see who's winning. But
yeah, I thought Risky was winning that fight at first, but I guess Savage just had more stuff in that big cluster.
I can't really say much other than it was a pretty nice and well executed strategy from Savage. It's a strategy which, even if you scout it, you still can have the upper hand since your opponent's spawning pool hasn't even finished yet. And Savage definitely used that to his advantage.
Yeah, so in this third game on Ephemeron, I imagine Risky's going to play a lot more defensive now. I think
sure.
He's not going to go for a hatch versus game, I think, just in case Savage does it again. But I'd like to see Savage pick up on that and maybe do a even more economic opening to counteract that.
Yeah, I know Risky's a player who lets losses like that affect him quite a bit. So we'll see if that's impacted his play this game or not.
Yeah. So in the bottom right, spawning as the red Zerg, stealing a map off the king, we have Red Dragon Savage.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player from Bloodsport Lions. It is Risky.
Ooh, and we're in for a treat. 12 pool versus 12 pool.
No, it's really exciting to see. I would love it if they both did the 12 pool drone build, and they both fight each other in the middle of the map.
That would be cool. Have you ever seen that happen before?
Yeah, I've had it happen when I've done the build a few times as well.
Sounds
it's quite interesting.
Microfest.
Yeah, sometimes you both end up in your other opponent's base, and you're trying to you both kill their base, and you're trying to just live with your spines. It's quite weird.
Wow. Well, yeah, I do hope we see that. That would be great. But we see Savage taking a gas actually, so
Yeah.
he's
So
not going to be pulling boys.
yeah. I expect Savage is just gonna just try and deny the natural. Then that's his strategy. And with Risky taking a natural himself, I think that's the same for him as well.
Yeah, so very similar builds. The only difference being Savage having a gas, whereas Risky being gasless so far.
That allows Risky to get the queen, which is more defensive, whereas Savage is obviously more vulnerable to attacks since he won't have the early queen.
Okay, so both players know what's up now, and Savage shooing away the lings.
Yeah, with Savage with the gas though, I think he's actually in a better position macro-wise if he wants to macro out this.
Yeah, his Zergling speed is going to be much faster, or even Banelings as well if he chooses to get Banelings. Okay. Risky, he sends a link into the main base of Savage amidst that little scramble they were having. So Risky gets a full scout here. He knows that Zergling speed is on the way, so that's good information for him. And the Queen is here to shoo away that annoying little link.
Yeah, Savage actually managed to get some lings into the natural here, and they'll try to take a fight. Although with the queen, I don't think he'll be able to get anything.
Yeah, he is up in Zerglings, but yeah, that Queen he's going to protect, or she's going to protect her flock.
Risky also has a spine in the main base as well, so it's like double security for Risky.
Yeah, well, he needs it. Savage, he's making 10 lings, and he's only made a single worker this entire game, I believe, or he's at 12, so maybe he's made 2 workers. So let's see if Savage can get something done. His Zergling speed is nearly finished, whereas Risky's is quite a long way off.
Yeah, so this is definitely looks like an all-in from Savage here, with the lack of workers, and he's even pulling the drones to the natural to make it seem like he's taken some drones behind this. The Risky doesn't suspect it as much.
Yeah, that is really smart. And we do see Risky going back to droning, so maybe he thinks this group of lings at his natural was all Savage has made. But Savage, he's got so much more in his main.
Yeah, Risky will only just see this now
Yes.
with the Overlord. But he does have the spine in the base, which is his, and the 2 queens, which are going to be the things he's going to be relying on to hold this.
But so many Zerglings, 40 Zerglings we have.
Yeah, they're going down. A nice transfusion on the spine, but it will go down eventually. And it's just whether he can hold this off for long enough until that Baningness finishes and he gets those more lings for reinforcements.
Is Savage doing it? Oh, the worker count, the link count by Savage is doing link though, only 17, 18.
This is really nice micro from Risky with the defensive things as well. I think he's just about going to hold it off.
Oh, yeah, that was intense. Really nice queen micro there by Risky.
Yeah.
These queens really saved the day. 9
and
kills in 1.
With the Baningness finishing now, I think Risky should be taking this. And he will take it too.
Wow. That was actually a really intense series. Much closer than I thought it would be. Like, even that game 3, I really thought Savage might have had that at the end there. One slip up by Risky, I think, with his micro, and Savage would have taken that game.
Yeah, I think so too. One scouting error as well from Risky would have been the end as well. I think Savage actually got so close there to taking down Risky, which is very unexpected.
Yeah. Yeah, and that game too, that was so much fun. Seeing all the workers go and those crazy drone ling fights. So our next series will be the winners match, which will be TeebuL versus Risky. So I think we'll be taking a break shortly, and then we will be back soon with Risky versus TeebuL. That should be a very high level match.
Yeah, for sure. 2 players who are definitely I'm not gonna say even in skill level, but probably the close in skill level. And they're both players who could definitely take maps off each other.
Yeah, so at Epic LAN, they did play, and as I said earlier, Risky won 3-0. But I know that TeebuL, he was quite tired at the time. It was really late at night, and he had prepared a lot of stuff, which he didn't end up using. So I'd like to see him whip out the builds that he prepared and really show us his strongest form against Risky here.
Yeah, for sure. As I said earlier, TeebuL was the last player to ever beat Risky at LAN, and although it was 3 years ago, it's still quite an accomplishment. So TeebuL is definitely capable of beating Risky in a series, although Risky did beat him quite handedly at the last LAN.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder if the mindset Risky has from 3 years ago, if that loss is still haunting him at all. But Risky has evolved as a player so much since then. Maybe he's just shrugged it off.
Yeah, and recently I think Risky's been in the best form he's ever been in, especially in international tournaments. Qualified for WCS events. He's won the Melbourne Open in Australia,
Yep.
and he's in really strong form.
Yeah, he's beaten a lot of Protoss as well. Like he beat Probe in that Melbourne Open, and he beat Stats in an online qualifier, and he beat he beat Dia in a series in the GSL Super Tournament qualifier. So some really impressive wins there against some of the best Protoss players in the world. So I think we're just missing TeebuL right now. Okay, I think he's back. But I'm really excited to see this rematch here. So who do you think's what do you think the score will be between these players?
I'd like to say it'll be a 2-1. But I think that Risky will take this 2-0. Since I think Risky is just that strong a player. And I think Protoss is a pretty decent matchup for him at the moment. He's beaten some pretty strong Protoss players recently, and he's already beaten TeebuL at LAN. He beat him 3-0, so I do think Risky will take this 2-0. But I would love to be proven wrong, and I'm hoping TeebuL can show us some really good games there.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think I have a little hunch that TeebuL's going to win 2-1 the series.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
Very bold prediction.
Yeah, Risky. He looked quite vulnerable against Savage, against some of the cheekier strategies, and I think if TeebuL can whip out some cheeky stuff, then
yeah,
I think he can take it. Alright, and we do have the map order actually. So the first map will be Nightshade, second map Triton, and third Simulacrum. So I know on Nightshade we've seen very commonly this Queen Roach all-in that it seems so hard to hold.
It's incredibly strong because it's one of those builds where even if you know it's coming, it's still really difficult to hold. Which I think is quite unique for an all-in.
Yeah, and I think we saw Figaro beat Zane with it, and I think did Risky do it against TeebuL at Big LAN? I'm not so sure.
He did, yeah. I'm certain he did.
Right, but we are spawning into Nightshade, our first map of this series between two titans of the UK scene. And in the top left, spawning as the Red Zerg, playing for Black Lions, we have Risky.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from Red Dragons. It is TeebuL.
So straight away, another. Oh, this probe is quite fast. Is that just to block the hatchery, do you think?
Potentially. Although I'm not sure. It could be. It's not going to be a cannon rush since we haven't seen the forge, but it does look like it will just be to the hatchery.
Yeah, this is a nice little move you can do to throw off your opponent. And I feel a lot of Zergs tend to just all in once this happens, or at least more likely to all in once they're forced to take an awkward natural.
Yeah, I think that's true. I know some players who make 15 hatch against Protoss just to stop the probe blocking. Obviously Risky doesn't seem like he does that, so he'll have his hatch blocks.
Yeah, and oh, sorry, Risky's playing for Block Sports Lions, by the way, not Black Lions. My bad. Yeah, so we do see a Nexus coming down from TeebuL, so just a very standard opening with a little hatch block to throw his opponent off.
Yeah, it's nothing too out there from either players. Obviously Risky, it's a bit annoying that he has to take his natural third base location, but it shouldn't matter too much overall. It's obviously a little harder to defend.
Yeah, TeebuL being quite annoying with his probe, trying to force his drones away from mining. Nice little cute play there by him. So I know TeebuL, he's seen Risky do that Queen Roach push so often on this map. I wonder if he'll try and blind counter it.
Yeah, I actually think that would be a pretty good plan from TeebuL. Since it's one of those all-ins which is so devastating that if he's able to blind counter it, then he could have great success. But obviously, if he doesn't do it, then you're at a huge disadvantage in the game.
Yeah, it depends on how heavily you commit to a blind counter. And we do see a Roach Warren already for Risky, so that is really fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I wonder how fast to take his lair. That will probably be the real teller for me.
I don't think he's gonna get a layer anytime soon. But let's see. I think this just looks like a Roach Ling all in.
Well, the Risky does not manage to slip 2 Lings into the main base, so he gets a full scout on TeebuL's tech in the game. So we'll see the Twilight before Robo, which is really nice to see. Obviously, this will be a glaive depth, thing, attack, which I've seen like Parting do this a lot on stream, where he does glaive adepts and then transitions into like a Immortal Century type push.
Yeah,
and it seems to work really well for him. So,
but is it good at holding all ins? I don't think it's very good.
I'm not convinced on the strength against all ins, if I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, TeebuL, no!
Oh, and then without the plug in the wall, Risky will be able to get in, and that is catastrophic for TeebuL here.
Yeah, TeebuL just
depower the wall and.
Yeah, TeebuL had no idea this was coming at all. He was just doing his plan to do this Adept's Glaive pressure, but he didn't scout enough, and this is a bit like the Rogue versus Zest games.
Yeah.
Like, I think Zest was just doing his Adept builds, and then Rogue realized, wait a minute, you can just Roach Ling all in, and that's exactly what Risky did in this game, and he picked up a nice first win.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the worst case scenario of what could have happened to TeebuL there. Obviously, he hadn't scouted that it was coming, and then he got his Stalker pulled out of position at the wall, which is just unlucky, really.
Yeah, I think it was just the lack of scouting that really killed TeebuL there. You really do need to see what the Zerg is doing, but
yeah,
it's okay in StarCraft to take risks sometimes. You know, you can skip the scouting and hope they do a certain thing, and against a player as strong as Risky, sometimes that is the smart thing to do. But alas, in this case, it did not work out. So our next map will be Triton. What do you think of that map in this matchup?
I think it's quite a weird one. I don't think it's too imbalanced either way, but I think like the Zerg does have potential to all in on this map if he wants to, and the Protoss does as well. So
Yeah.
um,
And I apologize. I think we might have had a slight issue with the overlay in the last game, but I hope that most of the game was visible.
yeah, obviously it's quite a big map, but it's not the biggest in the pool. So we'll see what either player wants to do here.
Yeah. All right. Both players are ready. Yeah, so that really is annoying for TeebuL. Like, I know we came into the series with a solid plan for each map, and it's so frustrating to just have your first map just swept away from you with such a simple build. In the bottom right-hand side, spawning as the red Zerg, we have Risky.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player from Red Dragons. It is TeebuL.
Right, so TeebuL again going with this very early probe scout. So again, he wants to deny that natural. So I wonder if Risky's Roachling all-in was a response to his natural being blocked, or whether he'd planned that all along.
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to tell really, since we'll never know unless we ask Risky directly. But I think that's definitely a strong possibility. Since once you get your natural denied like that, macroing is a lot more difficult since you have to rally your drones all the way out to the third base location. And
Yeah, and also the opponent does sacrifice like a decent amount of minerals to get that probe across the map so quickly. So it does make that all-in that little bit stronger as well. Yep, so TeebuL just having a look at his opponent's main, doing a good job of annoying the mineral mining. Oh, TeebuL picked up a mineral actually, so that means he can't do that little block anymore. Yep. And on TeebuL's side, he's just macroing up as normal.
yeah, it's pretty standard from both sides so far. It's obviously too early to tell whether there'll be any aggression from either side, since mid-game all-wings are strong from both Protoss and Zerg at the moment. So
Yeah, I wonder if TeebuL is going to try that Adept with Glaive style again that he tried in game 1.
yeah, as I said, I've seen Parting use it quite a lot, and it's really effective because you can get quite a lot of damage done with the Adept straight up, and even if that doesn't work, you can fall behind into a macro game anyway. So
Yeah, oh, and we do see a Stargate being thrown down by TeebuL.
yeah, so I don't think it will be the Adept play because last game he went for the Twilight before Robo with no Stargate, and this game he's going just for a Stargate. So this will be a lot more standard from TeebuL by the looks of things.
Yeah, the Stargate is a good choice to get you some early game scouting and also to put some pressure on to your opponent.
Yeah, I guess that would also could be a reaction to the first game since he wants to get that scouting in and also potentially damage at the same time.
Yeah, this Link gets in the main base of TeebuL, so that's a bit annoying. The Link gets to see the Stargate. And in
Yeah,
the
it's very
meantime,
nice. Risky's
yeah,
done that both games now, where he's able to get full scout of his opponent's tech structures. So
yeah. TeebuL also getting a scout though with his Adept on the other side of the map. But neither player getting any worker kills as of yet. Oh, one drone goes down. Will a second one? Good little morph there.
yeah, he definitely goes down there.
Yeah, only one kill, so I don't think that's too great for TeebuL. I think normally you look for 2 kills.
Yeah, he went Phoenix into Oracle, which is like the most standard opening in PvZ at the moment. You get that Phoenix to clear some Overlord vision, and Oracle comes in to do some harassment on the other side of the map.
Wow, that Link's still alive in the main base of TeebuL.
Really,
That's
yes.
just so annoying. It gets to see everything, gets to just poke at these workers.
I'm very surprised that he hasn't killed that yet, considering he had Adept swapped in at the natural, and still does, but
Yeah,
just doesn't
well,
seem willing to send them over, and they will get cleaned up eventually by those free probes.
yeah, poor probes, they have to do the killing and the mining. But then let's see what this Adept can do. The Spore Crawler's literally finishing at the perfect time. The Adept, the Oracle, sorry, gets one worker kill and runs away.
Yeah, really nice spore timing from Risky there. Hit it just as it came in.
So Risky doing a really good job with these links, just constantly keeping tabs on what TeebuL's doing. And we do see a Robo by TeebuL.
We have a Hydra Den out of Risky here. It's just quite interesting since you don't see Hydras much, so I would suspect he's probably going for a lurker transition. Since Hydras themselves aren't the strongest unit at the moment.
Yeah. I have seen some like 60 worker Hydra Link Bane timings. Do you think it could be one of those?
Potentially. I would lean towards lurkers, but knowing Risky, it could definitely be a Hydra Link Bane timing.
Yeah, well, Risky is making a ton of units right now at just 50 workers.
Yeah, so maybe you're onto something here.
Yeah, but maybe not Banelings. I think there's no Baneling necessary. These Adepts sacrificing themselves for just 4 workers? I don't know if that was worth it or not.
Now that we say that, there is actually a style Risky played quite a bit last year, and it's kind of credited with starting, and that's the like Ling Lurker style. But with the Hydra upgrades coming out, that doesn't look to be the case.
Yeah, Risky has gone back to droning now. So he is going up to quite a healthy drone count. But these groups of links are getting damage done over this little...
Yeah, and they should be able to get 3 sentries here, which is really nice.
Yeah, wow, this pressure is doing so much damage. It's just like a handful of Hydras and a handful of links, but it is really crippling.
Might even get the 3rd base here, and I think he will definitely get the 3rd base, which is really nice for Risky.
This was such an odd little push, and it's done so much. It's almost won the game by itself, I think.
Yeah, was TeebuL just completely caught off guard by it, or did he not have enough units out?
Yeah, I think sacrificing those 4 Adepts for 4 workers, I think that really hurt him and maybe prompted Risky to move across the map with that. Yeah, but TeebuL's in a really awkward spot now. Does he retake the 3rd base? Does he try and do an all-in? It looks like he's going to retake the 3rd base, but he is pretty far behind now, I think.
Yeah, and he is getting Baneling speed now, so it looks like it might be a Ling Bane Hydra attack that you were talking about, potentially coming out of Risky.
Risky is 13 workers up, and he has quite a significant income advantage. So I do think if the ball is in Risky's court, he can do whatever he wants pretty much this game. Just needs to make sure he doesn't die to any timings. We see TeebuL maybe moving across the map, but he's going to and fro. Maybe just getting his units in a good position. So we do see a lot of Banelings morphing. 38 Banelings morphing. Wow, okay. I think this is going to be a strong attack by Risky coming up shortly.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that TeebuL has the units to hold this at all. There's just some Zealots and some Archons and a couple of Immortals, and I don't think it's enough in the slightest. And Storm will not be finished by the time this hits, unless Risky decides not to hit now.
These Zealots doing a great job of buying time, Risky bringing his whole army back to deal with them. So the Zealots don't do very much, but the Storm is now only 25 seconds away from being done. So with Storm done, and TeebuL does have 2 Templar with energy for Storm, this maybe allow him to hold this push.
Yeah, although
it's not done yet.
Just in time, so Risky will come in. There's a nice stasis ward getting some of the Banelings, but overall the army is going to be rolled over here from Risky.
Yeah, was a very one-sided fight there. Just Storm only now finishes, but it's fun. GG. Risky takes the series 2-0.
Yeah, that was really clean out of Risky. I think TeebuL's biggest mistake in that game was letting that small attack kill off his third base. I think he sacrificed the Adepts earlier and didn't have the units out to defend against it.
Yeah, and we do have Risky then, our first player from Group C to advance to the round of 8. Not a very surprising result, but I do think it's interesting that he had a very tough time against Savage. Like, I think that was quite a close series, closer than the one he just played against TeebuL.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was quite a surprising series, but at the same time, I guess CVZ is like one of the best matchups for upsets to happen due to how aggressive it is in nature.
That's it. All right, one sec. We're just gonna go on a short break, but we'll be back soon. So stay tuned. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with Group C of the UK StarCraft 2 League. I am RazerBlader, and joining me is Phoenix. So we will shortly be going into our losers match, which will be Savage versus Amos.
Yeah,
So,
I think Amos is the favorite here, but I think this game is pretty close considering Savage is a very strong player, as he's already shown against Risky. But obviously, ZVT is a pretty different matchup than ZVZ, so we'll have to see.
yeah, I think they are both about the same sort of skill level, like that 5.2k to 5.3k, that range. But I do think it'd be quite a shame if Savage were to lose this series after having such a close run against Risky.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, those kind of aggressive strategies that Savage used don't work as well against Terran because Terran generally doesn't die to wins and things like that. So
Generally, but I think
it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder at least.
yeah, I think Savage in general is quite a straight up macro player.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think just against Risky, he had that one prepared. But our first map will be Triton. Quite an interesting map for TVZ. So we're spawning into Triton, and in the top left, spawning as the green Zerg, representing red dragons, we have Savage.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the teamless blue Terran player. It is Amos.
Alright, so far so good. Nothing crazy from either player.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything really crazy in this game. Since both players have a bit of a reputation for being standard players, so
Yeah, but interestingly enough, when they were up against the favorites of the group, they both did pull out some crazier builds. Like we saw Amos do quite a committed 3 racks and then do a proxy racks as well. So
yeah,
I
I
think,
think
yeah, both of these players have a good tournament mindset, I think, and know when to pull out the unorthodox builds.
I think against stronger players is your best chance of beating them. Really, so I hope that you can catch them off guard with a strategy like that. Because generally your macro will be weaker than a better player than you.
Yeah, I don't know how much these two players know about each other. They haven't played in any official tournament games before. But if Amos watches Epic LAN, he should have seen some of Savage's games.
Yeah, and I'm not totally sure how Savage likes to play in CVT, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
I know he likes using roaches, but I don't know if roaches are that good at the moment in CVT, so...
yeah, the old Savage, he loved his roaches and ravages and biles, but the new Savage, I've been speaking to him quite a bit, and he's started liking the very Ling Bane heavy style into faster ultras. And I do think that is a very strong style to play in this matchup. So I do expect to see that out of him in this game. And Brighton is a relatively short map, so it's decent for like rally pushes, but it's a very wide map as well, so it can be
Yeah.
quite hard to pick off some of the further out expansion. And it can be quite hard for Terran to defend their 4th and 5th bases. Let's see. Ooh, this Reaper looking for drones, like a hidden drone trying to take the 3rd base, opposed to
Yeah, it's
going
actually
straight for the mineral line.
quite nice, because I know there's a lot of builds that have like a 19 supply, you rally a drone to the 3rd base gas, so you can get the 3rd base off guaranteed. So actually quite nice that it looks for that.
Yeah, so no 3rd base quite yet by Savage, but looks like he's just going to take a bit of a later 3rd. It's still standard, but yeah, some Zergs like to take a really fast 3rd base.
Yeah, the Queen Ling here will be pulled, and there's no way the Reaper will be able to hold it off for much longer.
Ooh. Alright, Reaper takes a bit of damage, but that's all alright. And behind this, Amos is doing a completely standard 1-1-1 opening. So there's quite a few different variants you can do. Like with the starport, you can literally make any of the starport units out of it. So Viking, Banshee, Battlecruiser, Raven, even. Some people even go Medevac. So it'll be interesting to see what starport unit Amos opts for. Oh, and we do see a fast layer.
Yeah, I'm quite interested to see what this is. I doubt it's going to be Nidus, potentially Mutalisk, but it didn't have the gas yet.
Yeah, I'm quite sure it will be Mutalisk. I know Serral did this TY in IM Katowice, and Savage, I think he's been a bit inspired by that, and he's starting to like this 2-base muta style.
He does take 4 gases now, so it definitely will have the gas production for mutas, so I think it definitely will be the Mutalisk here.
Yeah, so let's see how Amos is going to try to respond to this. I don't think he knows what's coming yet. So he has got a Viking, which will deny Savage's scouting, and which also may be handy later on in dealing with the mutas. But now we do see a Banshee coming out from Amos, which is not too great against Mutalisks.
Yeah, for sure. And Savage even has the spores up already, so the Banshee probably won't be able to do much damage on itself. And with the mutas coming out, Savage is going to be completely safe against it. And if he goes on Scouted, then he could get huge amounts of damage done with these mutas.
Yeah, it's really hard for the Terran to get in there. Maybe Amos should suicide his Reaper in out. It's really hard to say. But we do see double armory super quickly from Amos. This is the fastest double armory I've ever seen, I think.
I'm not really sure what his plan is with this. Obviously, he's committing hard into mecha play, but I'm not sure why he would take it this quickly.
Well, it looks like he's going for the late game. Like, really getting his upgrades rolling very fast, and because I don't think this can really benefit with an early push, so I think this will only come into fruition further down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
He seems to have no idea about the Mutalisks yet, and he doesn't have enough gas to make double Thors.
Yeah, the double armory, the exact opposite of what you want against unscouted Mutalisks, since he's not going to have any anti-air units or enough money to build any anti-air unit to really fight this off, really. Like, what does he have? Like, a Viking and that's it?
He might get a Thor. He's getting 200 gas now. Is he going to throw down a Thor? Let's see. Will he go for double tanks? I think this is a key deciding moment of the game. What he makes. Or will he make nothing?
It will be double tank here. And that is the complete opposite of what he wants.
Alright, and Amos does now see the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks say free reign of the map. There's just one Viking and one Marine that can...
Yeah, I think this may just be a build order loss here from Amos, if I'm honest. I think the damage will be way too much.
I wouldn't count him out just yet. He has 7 workers lead, and his double Thor is about 30 seconds away from popping. And he's getting his eBay finish now, so you can get turrets. So he's losing a lot of workers, but as long as he doesn't go like 20 workers below his opponent, it's possible for him to stabilize.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Even then, though, the fours obviously aren't that mobile, so when they come out, the Mutalisk still might be able to move around, especially with no missile turrets finished just yet. There will be one finishing here in the natural, but the amount of damage done is already huge from Savage here.
Yeah,
27 workers going down.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate there. So, yeah, Amos is 23 workers down.
Even forces the third to lift up as well, so there'll be a load of lost mining time here.
Yeah, like these mutants just have free reign. Like there's two Thors out, but Thors are so slow and key that they can't do a good job of defending a mineral line by themselves. But it is mech. If Amos can turtle a lot and maybe go into the late game with his good upgrades that he has, it's possible for him to come back. Yeah, he does have 1-1 at least, super quickly. So that is one thing he does have.
Yeah, I actually feel like Savage hesitated for a bit before going in there. And if he hadn't, then he could have got a lot more workers, but he still managed to do plenty of damage.
Yeah, like, you always have to be careful in case there's some mines burrowed in a cluster somewhere. Oh, this is just, even this is annoying, just picking off Hellions. Really pinning your opponent back. And Savage is transitioning into roaches behind this, a smart thing to do against mech.
And Amos still hasn't reclaimed his third base yet, so he's still a huge mining disadvantage.
Yeah, he is back up to 52 workers. So as soon as he lands his third base, his economy will be in a decent spot. And it looks like he's got his defenses stabilized. He's got three Thors now and 2 mines. And Savage has stopped making Mutalisks.
For sure, yeah. I think Savage, obviously these Mutalisks are not going to scale well against the Fours and Widow Mines, so you need to move away from them.
Yeah,
but with the Roach, Wing Bane push coming up here, we'll see if Amos actually has enough to hold it off.
Yeah, I don't think he does. Just two siege tanks, that's not much at all.
You're really hoping for some huge Widow Mine shots here, and it doesn't look like he's going to get them.
He's going to get one okay-ish hit, but yeah, Savage just has way too much.
Yeah.
He's decimating the Terran. Yeah, it's going to be quite hard for Savage to push up the natural ramp.
You'll once again force everything off, and there's a huge amount of Ravagers morphing in here.
Wow. 14 at once, I've never seen that many before.
We able to rain bios down upon these Fours and tanks.
Ooh, these Mutalisks are getting killed, but it's just a diversion. Oh, so many Ravagers. Oh, and look at those bios. Beautiful.
Yeah, what can a Mist really do in this situation? Nothing. And no GG out.
And Savage takes very clean win. Like his Mutas went unscouted and just did way too much damage, and it really snowballed in Savage's favor.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed by how Savage played that. I thought he played pretty well. And Mist obviously really cost him not scouting, and it was a bit of a build order loss with the lack of defensive units against flying.
Yeah, I really feel Amos should have scouted though. Like, he saw the hatchery was relatively late, so that should be a bit of a warning sign. Because the hatchery came down at like 3 minutes 40, which is later than it should be. And he did have a Reaper and a Viking, which he could have used for better scouting. But instead, he just uses Viking to chew Overlords away, like in the corners of the map. I would have liked to see him scout more with the Viking, and I think that could have won him the game. Because if he just got double Thor instead of double tank, or at least one Thor, then he really could have done a much better job of holding those mutas. But yeah, I think our next map will be Simulacrum. So this is, I'd say, quite a good map for Zerg, but...
Yeah, I think so as well.
It's very wide open.
It's definitely one of those where you can engage really well. There's not a lot of space for the Terran to get good siege positions as well, so I think Zerg is pretty confident on this map.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I looked at Amos's maps, and he seems to veto a lot of the good maps for Terran. So that leaves him with the Zerg maps to play on.
I mean, maybe that plays to his advantage as well, though. So he gets better practice against those kind of maps.
Spawning in the top left as the red Terran, currently down 0-1 in the series, we have Amos.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg player from Red Dragons. It is Savage.
So in terms of Amos's mindset, I don't think that loss will affect him too much. I think it's sort of thing where you just kick yourself about it and move on. Like,
Yeah.
he just needs to scout a bit better, and then he would have been fine, I think. It wasn't like he got severely outplayed or anything, I don't think.
I think it just came down to a scouting issue there. Like, and it's something which can easily be worked on, so I think this game will definitely scout more diligently.
Oh, and we do see a very fast SCV scout on the way now.
Yeah.
So this is actually a really fast SCV scout. Fast needs, but he will see that it's just a standard hatch first. And in the meantime, Amos playing very standardly, just likely to Reaper expand. And he did show us mech in that game, in a very economic, or let's say late game focused mech, judging by the very fast double armory. Because even within mech, there are so many different ways to play it. You can play like very aggressively with Alien Cyclone, or you can play the more old school style turtle mech with tanks and Thors. So it'll be interesting to see whether he continues to play mech or if he shows some bio this.
Well, I definitely think that mech is a little bit stronger right now. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I think it really varies a lot at different skill levels. Like, I think at this sort of skill level, yeah, I do think mech is quite powerful. But I've spoken to Savage quite a bit, and I think he knows quite well how to deal with it. Let's see, so Reaper coming across the map, and straight away he's checking for a third base again. And he sees no third base at that location, at least. This is one of the maps where you can take either third base, I'd say.
yeah. Yeah, it is. I think either one's fine. Obviously, the top one's a little bit harder to defend, but it's like it's easier to. It's not as far forward, so it's fine.
Yeah, there's pros and cons of each one.
It's also down a ramp as well, so.
Yeah, I feel Amos almost wants to see a third base. Like sometimes I get that feeling, you know, you see the opponent playing standard, that they're not doing anything too crazy. And when you see no third base, you know, you get worried. Like, look how worried Amos is. Instead of making reactor Hellions, he's putting a tech lab down on his factory. So I don't think this was planned. I think he's worried about some sort of roach attack or something.
Yeah, and the bunker up as well. I think Savage has definitely got in his head a little bit here. And,
yeah, he really has, and it is just going to be another two-base muta, I believe. It's like,
yeah,
even though there's a third base on the way, like, the name for this is still two-base muta, I'd say.
Well, that third base is too late to really be a macro third. It's more of just a like fake thing to throw him off a little bit.
Oh, that Reaper's... Okay, at least it gets away, but the scouting is completely denied there.
It's really a clean play from Savage so far. I'm not sure Amos has like any idea, and he's definitely extremely worried about what he might be doing.
Yeah, like, he's making tanks, which are very good against roach bushes, but are completely useless.
And he even scans the main base, yeah, to just confirm for himself what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good call. I think that's what you have to do once the Reaper gets sniped.
I think he could potentially be worried about Nidus play, especially seeing Savage's overlord in his main base right now. Obviously, Savage won't be going for that this game, but it's definitely something which I'm sure every Terran player will be worried about, especially after seeing the lair in the main base so early.
Yeah, you always have to keep that in mind. And he only saw. Oh, and another scan goes down, and natural Savage. Does he get the
Yeah,
spire? Okay, he sees the spire.
just.
Just about in range.
He's put a fusion. Oh, he cancels the fusion. He goes into an armory, but starts a Banshee, which is a bizarre choice considering he's seen the spire in the scan.
Yeah, like one. Okay, and he cancels the Banshee now, so he seems very unsure about what the best response to this is. So it looks like the armory is going to get out of Thor. He's going to make some Marines, perhaps, after this barracks. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's definitely very confused and trying to work out exactly the best response.
Yeah, like once you're already thrown off your build, it's awkward to figure out how to try. Okay, but he's going to go bio behind this, that much is clear. He's getting +1 attack, stim. His barracks are quite late, and he's got the turrets down at least, so I think the mutas definitely won't kill him. But unless he gets the Thor out quite quickly, the mutas could still find good room to do damage.
The first 4 has just started up production, so it's definitely earlier than it was in the last game, so he might be in a much better position. But he's only producing it off of 1 factory or 2 last game.
Yeah. It's quite interesting that Savage is making bailing speed, because that implies he knows it's bio, which is definitely the correct call. And that's quite interesting considering his lack of vision. So very good game sense by him.
Well, he has seen the scans, so I know that his opponent has scanned.
Okay, and oh, Savage does he lose a muta there? No, he didn't lose a muta there, so good micro by him, keeping that alive, and he did kill an SCV. So now he just needs to slow down his opponent with these mutas. Oh, but the Thor is out, and the Viking's out, so these mutas aren't going to get much done at all. So it was a bit of a scrambled together defense, but it seems to have done a pretty good job. And now we do see 2 more barracks on the way from Amos. So he is going into that 5 barracks setup. And wow, he picks up a muta there with that bunker, so his muta defense has been very clean so far. And in the meantime, he is up in workers, but that is because Savage is making a ton of units.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Savage is gearing up for some kind of attack here, and I'm not totally convinced this is the right play for Savage, but we'll wait and see.
I don't know, I like it. I think that once Amos takes his 3rd base, he's really not going to see this attack coming, and if Savage can attack whilst Amos's units all on the low ground and distracted, he can do a lot of damage. Yep, Savage is going in.
The attack will come in now. Savage just suicided all his moves into 1-4 there. But Savage, this fight actually looks quite convincing for Savage here. He should be able to bust down the wall and the bunker alongside it.
Yeah, and that felt a bit inefficient, but he's getting so much damage done.
Yeah, the bio seems to have just completely thinned out. That'll be the GG.
Wow, GG. Savage looks a very convincing 2-0 there, really getting into the head of his opponent. And perhaps a bit of Amos confusing himself a bit as well in the series. I've been very impressed by Savage so far today. I think he really is a standout performance so far. Like, almost beating Risky, and now quite easily beating Amos.
Yeah, so definitely really strong play from Savage overall. I think he'll be very happy with his skill level, and maybe you could even take out TeebuL in the final game at the group.
Yeah, that would be a great performance by him if he does manage to get into the round of 8. And the round of 8 of the UK StarCraft 2 League does have money, so if Savage were to beat TeebuL, he'd guarantee himself at least £15, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But of course, TeebuL is going to be a very tough opponent. TeebuL beat a lot of strong Zergs at Epic LAN. He beat Mix and Spacey Mazy, which is no easy feat by any means. So both players are going to do the defeaters to start with, and then we'll be hopping into Savage versus TeebuL, and that'll be our final match of the day. So how have you found the game so far, Phoenix?
I think they've been really entertaining so far. They've obviously had some I think some of them have been a lot closer than I anticipated they would be, especially that Savage versus Risky game, which I think is probably my highlight game of the night so far. All the games have been really good. Risky's obviously look pretty strong, and it's kind of gone how I might have expected it to, but we'll see
Yeah,
whether Savage can pull off an upset in the final game here.
yeah, I think without a doubt, Risky versus Savage was the highlight of the tournament. Just that game Savage won was so cool. And I do think Risky versus TeebuL was a little bit disappointing. I was hoping for a bit of a closer series there. But I'm sure with more and more UK events coming up soon, we'll have TeebuL at his full form against Risky. But for now, let's see if TeebuL can beat Savage. Because going into this group, I think TeebuL and Risky were the heavy two favorites, and it seemed like there was a very low chance of anyone else beating them. But I don't know, with Savage seeming so strong against Amisk and putting up a good showing against Risky, it is possible.
Yeah, for sure. I think it will be a pretty big upset, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility, especially with how strong Savage has looked today.
I think both players are having some issues with the veto. What happened there? Oh, I think they messed up the, the vetoing order. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah, so TeebuL, he showed some of his PVZ against Risky earlier, so I imagine Savage was watching that series. And maybe he's learnt from Risky and can copy some of his strategies to get some quick wins against TeebuL. Yeah, like if Savage were to copy that Roach Lingual in, maybe that would catch TeebuL off guard and maybe get a quick win. Alright, everyone's loading into the lobby. And TeebuL and Savage currently picking Terran, but I'm sure they'll change their races. Oh, I wouldn't mind a TVT. TVT's been pretty fun lately.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more entertaining mirror matchups, I think. But to be honest, I like most of the mirror matchups.
Yeah, I think they're given a bit of a bad reputation, more so than they deserve. Alright, TeebuL has fixed his race and he has chosen Protoss, and Savage has chosen Zerg. So we will be having a Protoss against Zerg, as expected. And our first map will be Triton. So we've seen Triton quite a lot in this tournament so far.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Since it's not one of the maps where I'd say that it's like 100% pick rate map. So
yeah, and like in best of threes, I think everyone's going to veto Zen. Right. In the bottom right, spawning as the red Protoss, representing red dragons, we have TeebuL.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Zerg, also representing red dragon. It is Savage.
Yes, so this will be a team kill, won't it?
Yeah, TeebuL showing some love in the chat.
Wow. Yeah, TeebuL is a loving man. Ooh, oof, oof. Wait, 2 drones moving across the map by Savage? What is this?
I'm confused about this one as well.
Is this 2 proxy hatches? Why do you need 2 drones?
I'm
Okay, is one gonna scout to make it look like it's definitely not proxy hatching, or one actually proxy hatches? I think.
maybe that may be the case. I remember Savage showing me a ridiculous build where you put 2 proxy hatches next to each other, but it doesn't look like to be that one.
Okay, so TeebuL scouting with his probe though, so he sees no hatchery,
Yeah.
so we should.
He'll definitely know that something's up, and Against Zerg, you can only really conclude that it's a proxy hatch.
Yeah, but you might be so confused because like the drone's in TeebuL's main base. You know,
Yeah,
maybe he
yeah.
thinks it's trying to throw down a hatch.
Yeah, it's definitely bizarre.
You don't want to lose the
drone
draw.
will probably go down.
Oh, no, that's good. He keeps it alive for now. Oh.
No, it's
The
dead.
drone gets killed.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate for Savage because
But
TeebuL kept guessing really.
But did the drone serve its purpose?
Yeah, I
TeebuL
definitely think it did because TeebuL is like probably extremely confused right now.
Yeah. Does he think the proxy hatch has been thwarted, or does he know the proxy hatch on the map? Like, he is scouting a lot in the main. He's really trying to piece together what's
Yeah.
going on.
Well, it's definitely still trying to work out why Natural hasn't gone down yet.
Yeah, he sees the roach warren. So he knows there's going to be some sort of roach aggression, surely. But he might not know about the proxy hatch, but he should. He must realize that there must be 300 minerals somewhere.
Yeah, I don't really know of any one-base roach builds, so...
Yeah, like, even if it was a one-base roach, you know, everything would be a lot faster, I think.
Yeah, now it definitely confirms that there is a proxy hatch here.
Yeah. Okay, so we do see a forge, a shield battery, a stargate. So it looks like TeebuL is making a lot of defensive units. Oh, cancels the stargate, gets a robo.
Yeah, I actually think that's the right move. Like, Immortals are incredibly strong at holding this kind of thing.
Yeah, 2 batteries, and we only just now have 3 roaches on production, so it doesn't seem like there's that many, but I guess it slowly piles up.
Yeah, I think TeebuL's doing everything right here to hold this, but we'll see if Savage will be able to get the damage he needs to do.
Yeah, so we see these units having a little skirmish, but TeebuL does have a shield battery to retreat.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, a bit
Must
dicey
did get
there.
a Stalker there, yeah.
Yeah, if he got that Stalker, that would have been huge. Like, every unit is very crucial on both sides.
Yeah, I actually thought he was going to get that for a minute there.
Yeah, and Savage is the one who's losing a few units. And just look at this defense. 4 batteries now, 2 cannons.
Yeah, it's the kind of
Immortal on the way.
Kind of defense which looks unbreakable and
Yeah, I don't know how anyone could break this. Even with double the unit Savage has, I don't know if it'd be possible.
Yeah, I think TeebuL has got like an absolute fortress here in his natural, and he should be able to hold this pretty comfortably.
Yeah. Like, Savage's work account behind it, 21, is not too bad, but he doesn't really have the natural base to take. So he is forced into just pushing, I think.
Yeah, plus he's very all-in over this Savage. I don't really see a transition out of it.
Yeah, great force fields there. 2 more Ravagers picked off. That really takes the wind out of Savage's sails there.
And yeah, I think this TeebuL should just win this game from here. I don't really see a fight where Savage can break this, and he can't really go for a macro game from here since he'll just be so far behind.
Yeah, like, he has so many links. If he can maybe sneak that into the main base of TeebuL somehow, if he draws these Immortals and Sentries out of position, maybe that's his shot. Yeah.
He could drop a Lair and a Nidus, but that will probably take way too much time.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen that, but yeah, I think it would hit so late by now. Yeah, Savage just trying to whittle away over time with his biles. He's almost getting a forge, but I don't think that's enough. Oh, this double prism drop is on the way. 2 Immortals in here.
It's gonna... I don't think Savage has anything at home really to hold that off.
No, and Zerg doesn't have recall, does it? So I think Savage might just tab out here.
Yeah.
Nothing to deal with this at all.
He's pulling all his wings back home, but even then, by the time they get back here, the damage should be done for Savage.
Yeah, these lots of workers getting killed. 3 workers, 1 on the way. Yeah, the Lynx are back to deal with this.
Yeah. But even then, he just picks up the immortals and can go back home again.
Yeah.
He can't. He now he's forced to keep his Lynx back home ready. Because as soon as his Lynx go back onto the map, the immortals just come straight back into his veins. So.
Yeah, and the micro potential is immortals. And TeebuL has 41 workers behind this. So his economy is fantastic. Oh, nice little sentry warp in there. Fancy micro.
Yeah. And now he has to pull back even more wings.
Yeah, I think this will be the nail in the coffin here. Savage is trying to send all his things back home, but he's losing nearly every worker. Oh, he has just 11 workers left.
He might be able to clean these units up, but even then, the worker difference is too much. But...
Yeah, I thought TeebuL would have recalled them up to safety, but TeebuL does lose that bunch of units. And the supply is kind of close now. Like, if you look at the army supply, Savage is significantly ahead.
However, he should lose all of these rabbits. He has really nice force fields out TeebuL.
Yeah, those are great force fields, and the batteries just saved every single unit there. I think Savage
is
can have
slowly
a fast stand.
whittling down these defensives, but I'm just not sure there's enough overall to go for it. But he will push these Lings in here, and the Ravagers will.
Yeah, he is finally
for the
starting
attack.
to break through a bit, but his economy at home is being dismantled.
If Savage doesn't kill him within the next 2 minutes or so, then the economy should just spiral. That's it. GG.
TeebuL showing a very solid defense in game number 1 of the series. So it looks like Savage really tried to do a strong mind game there, but with TeebuL scouting quite early with his probe, I think it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit unlucky from Savage there. It definitely could have worked out, but TeebuL ultimately did the reaction to it that was necessary.
Yeah, like, I don't blame Savage for trying it. Like, these are the sort of things to try if you want to beat a player higher rank than you. Let's see, our next map is Nightshade. So this is the one where we talked about Zergolins being quite strong, and we saw Risky beat TeebuL with quite a simple Roach Lingolin. So maybe Savage will try something similar?
Yeah, obviously we talked about that, the Roach Queen push you can do on this map. I don't know whether Savage will do it, but it's obviously an extremely strong build.
Yeah.
And TeebuL's very wary of it, considering he already faced it at LAN.
In the top left, 1 map away from qualifying for the round of 8 of the UK StarCraft 2 League, we have the Red Protoss representing Red Dragons, TeebuL.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, teammate, the Blue Zerg, it is Savage.
So if Savage loses this game, that's it, his tournament life is on the line. Oh, and we do see another cheeky drone moving across the map.
Yeah. I doubt he'll proxy hatch again, but you never know already.
Looking at the path of this drone, I do think it will be another proxy hatch.
Although he has built a natural base this time, so maybe it will just be a mind gamey type drone. We'll send it over and then.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Like, his money is so far away from 300 for hatchery, and even if it is another proxy hatch, I surely want a spawning pool first as well. So let's see, the spawning pool does go down for Savage.
Yeah, I think this. I'm quite confused what this is actually. Maybe it's just a really late proxy hatch or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if TeebuL notices the drone missing. That would be quite clever of him if he could figure that out. But I imagine it looks very standard from TeebuL's perspective. I don't think he expects anything amiss. Alright, we do see the proxy
We'll
hatch.
take the hatch. Yeah, I'm quite surprised that he's doing it 2 games in a row. But the my games overall are pretty good, especially since TeebuL will now think that there's nothing really out of the ordinary, since Savage has pretty much just played it standard up to this point.
It is a very different style of proxy hatch. Like, this is, I'd say, completely different almost to the one we saw last game.
Yeah.
I wonder if Savage will make just pure Ling behind this, Ling Bane perhaps, or maybe he will make roaches.
Yeah, and TeebuL has absolutely no idea that this is going on.
Yeah, because I don't imagine there's much of a reason to check your third base until you're planning to take it. So TeebuL with his worker, he's trying to see when Savage takes his third base. So we might get a bit suspicious that one hasn't been taken yet, and especially when this Adept arrives.
Although, it looks like it's going to run into the natural instead of the third. Or they will change direction. Yeah, so you see, he hasn't checked the third with his Adept, so he hasn't confirmed yet there isn't one.
Yeah. So he sees the roach warrant now, so he should know it's some sort of roach aggression. So even though TeebuL hasn't seen the proxy hatch, he should still have a similar sort of response, I think.
Yeah. Although, it looks like there are some wings that have pulled into the natural here, and they might even get this pylon.
Oh, I think the pylon's just about saved. Oh, is it? It's so close.
No, I think it's gonna go down. The pylon does go down, deep out the whole wall here, but the wings will eventually be cleaned up by the Stalker and the Adepts.
Yeah, so
that's just really nice though for Savage overall. And he's gonna get the Adepts as well here.
This is really nice now. And that warp gate is delayed, and that gateway couldn't produce for a while.
Yeah.
So TeebuL, he's got a Void Ray out, TeebuL does, so this will help so much with the defense, and he's getting batteries. But there are quite a few.
The Ravages are now out and in play, so we'll see if this one Void Ray is enough to hold off.
Yeah, I feel the Ravages are a bit too early, because this big wave of Lings isn't quite there yet, and that Void Ray nearly killed a Ravager, but oh, Queen was there to transfuse it.
Yeah, even if Savage just kills Warp Gate, then I think it's worthwhile, to be honest.
Oh, Savage is super committed, he only has 19 workers. I think he needs to do a lot. We do see 2 Queens now, so that's
queens,
actually...
Yeah, this push is really scary.
Yeah, but these batteries are doing such a good job. So Savage is trying to focus the pylons and batteries, so that way he can deal with the Void Ray. A good Queen micro there by Savage, keeping both Queens alive still. I think these batteries are just doing too much work, so much healing.
He's now going to pull the workers here, and he should be able to hold on by the looks of things, but you never know.
Yeah, really nice wall there by TeebuL.
It's really tight here.
Yeah, and wow, this Void Ray just isn't dying. 13 kills on it. Ooh, I spoke too soon.
Will finally go down.
Yeah, the battery's out of energy.
Like the Lings are now on the main base, but there's another Void Ray out.
Well,
and
yeah. But there's no shield battery energy left, really. They all have a tiny bit. I think Savage is slowly breaking through this. Oh, the Void Ray. The Void Ray. Is it going to die? Oh. 1 health. 1 health in the Void Ray.
It will eventually go down here. The Lings are in the main base. GG, well played.
Wow. Beautiful all in there by Savage. And it looked rocky at first. I didn't think it would work, but he did it. Wow, Savage really making some upsets this tournament.
Yeah, I think Savage has played his tournaments really impressed me.
Yeah, like he's taken 1 map each off Risky and now TeebuL, and maybe he can knock TeebuL out of the tournament. That'd be a huge result by him.
I'm really impressed with his mind games, how he's built on the proxy hatch from the first game there. Yeah, I just think in general his all-wins have been really crisp and have definitely put his opponents off guard.
I think TeebuL is going to be very scared going into this game. You know, this is a tournament where I think he was hoping to actually maybe even win the whole thing, or at least try and get a top 4. So now he's one game away from being eliminated in the group stage. And his play has looked quite fragile to a lot of Zerg all-ins. So I don't know if he's going to do a very safe build this game. Let's see how he mixes it up. So we are loading into Ephemeron for our final game of. In the top left-hand side, spawning on Ephemeron, we have the red Protoss representing red dragons, TeebuL.
And in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his teammate, the blue Zerg. It is Savage. Taking that last map in the series to tie it up. This will be the deciding match, and I think if Savage is able to win here, it would be a huge upset, especially considering that TeebuL is like a strong contender for this whole tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I think Savage has the mental edge series right now. Like he came into the series as a dark horse and as an underdog, and he has really evened it up, and just one more all-in being successful, and he's won the series.
You talked about players earlier who have that like don't deserve to be here bounce type thing.
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
they well maybe they just perform better when they feel that way, and
Yeah.
definitely seems to be something like that with Savage here today, with huge
Yeah.
results against Risky and again against TeebuL here.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say don't deserve to be there, but not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And like even if Savage does end up losing this game, I think he's put up an incredible fight and should be very proud of his performance.
Yeah, I
Of course,
agree.
he wants to
I've
qualify
been really
though.
impressed with him.
Alright, and TeebuL is just sticking to what we've seen so far, nothing crazy. But his first tech unit, or tech structure, Stargate, Robo, Twilight, that will be interesting to see. Alright, and Savage not sending any drones across the map for the first time in this series.
Yeah, that's like it'll be much more standard game here from Savage. Although that doesn't mean that he couldn't diverge later on in the game, something more aggressive.
Yeah, I do think we'll see something weird from Savage. I think he is so close to qualifying. I think there are a lot of different time points where Zergs can pull out something cheeky. You know, even if you take a third base at the standard timing, you know, you can still do a Link Flood. You can still do a lot of cheeky builds from there.
Yeah, some kind of virtual in or something like that.
Oh, but we do see Overlord speed actually, so that, I think that is quite a strong sign of standard play.
Yeah. See players like a Laser and Lambo doing this quite a lot. The Overlord speed.
Yes, so maybe Savage for this final game, he will just rely on his standard play and hope to beat TeebuL in a standard game. And on TeebuL's side of the map, we do see a Stargate finishing up and an Oracle on the way. So this is an Oracle first, opposed to a Phoenix into Oracle, which we sometimes see. So this is hoping to get damage done with that first Oracle.
Yeah, you could potentially go into double Oracle, which is something which we also see sometimes. Or you can make the Phoenix afterwards, which also isn't incredibly uncommon. So it's not really, it's just a stylistic thing really. It's not necessarily gonna put him behind.
Yeah, and we do see Savage starting Spore Crawlers as soon as he saw the Stargate, and I think the Spore Crawlers will finish up in perfect timing.
Yeah, well, he's going double Oracle, so he'll be looking to get some damage done once the second Oracle comes out, and he's able to one-shot drones in the middle.
Right. I'm not 100% familiar with this matchup, but Savage's drone count does seem a bit low. Like he's 7 workers down on his opponent, even though not much has happened in terms of aggression.
Yeah, definitely. As a Zerg player, you want to be ahead on drones pretty much at all times in the matchup, so I'm quite surprised that that's the case here.
Yeah. Well, I guess he made 8 links, but that's quite a bit of an investment and a triple spore.
He has just built 9 drones, so he has pulled himself back up to
Yes. So he's catching
almost
up there.
even work.
We do see a layer with Roach Warren on the way. So he is going to go into some standard Roach play. What do you think we'll see after the layer's done? Maybe Hydras or Swarm Hosts, perhaps?
I'd personally like to Swarm Host more, but it's obviously more of a stylistic thing depending on the player. I don't think I've ever seen Savage use Swarm Host. I know he likes Roach Hydra type thing.
Oh, we do see 5 Adepts coming across the map.
There's also a Ling don't run by in the third base, Savage here, and you'll look for the deny potentially, but I don't think you get it.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough links to force out a cancel, but does Savage have enough to hold these Adepts? He's got some Roaches. But the Shade...
I think just about, but he might be able to get some good damage done into the main base mineral line here. 4 drones going down already, 5.
Yeah,
6.
Savage was already hurting in workers.
He's just able to right-click down the drones. And even though we lose all the Adepts, I definitely think he's done enough damage here to justify it.
Yeah, 11 workers killed for 5 Adepts. I think that is really good value. Now Savage's economy is really in the gutters now. Like, he can rebuild the drones back up shortly, but just that loss of income for a long time period, that is going to hurt him. And we see TeebuL throwing down so many gateways, getting Templar Archives, Sentries, Charge, +1. He looks like he's very rich in comparison.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what kind of transition Savage goes for, since he now is at a macro deficit to the point where I'm not sure how he intends to put himself back into this game. And I think I like the Swarm Host even more because of that, because the Swarm Hosts are a unit which can be used as a comeback mechanic in a way.
Yeah.
Since you can get a lot of damage done with those inter-mineral lines.
I think Savage is just going to go for a big Roach attack with his +1 Roach speed almost done, but TeebuL knows this is coming. He's getting a Void Ray, he's got so many Immortals and Sentries, and he's like even on supply, which is really good for a Protoss fighting Roaches. So I think he's going to clean this up quite easily.
I'm really not confident in this attack here from Savage. Even with the upgrades finishing up for him, TeebuL's about to get his own upgrades, and I think the army composition is just so much better for TeebuL here.
Yeah, definitely. And Savage is so low in workers behind this at just 44. He really needs to get critical damage done if he wants to stay alive.
Force field is really nice, cuts off a large chunk of the army already, fight even starting, and TeebuL's happy to just fight these chunks and then clean out.
Are not dying. Oh, Savage comments. GG.
2-1 win there for TeebuL. In the end, both Risky and TeebuL, the players you'd expect to move out the group advance, but I think that is not telling the full story of the group, to be honest. Since they were both tested pretty well by Savage.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Savage did an amazing job for this tournament, I think, especially with such little time to prepare. Took a map off Risky, a map off TeebuL, and I really think that game 3 against Risky as well, that was super close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Risky and TeebuL will be joining the other players in the round of 8. So let's have a look at the players who are currently in the round of 8. So our round of 8 players so far are Mystic, Zane, Matt, Aster, and now they've been joined by Risky and TeebuL. And in our next group, which we played on Thursday, we'll have RazerBlader, Figaro, Iger, and Chelch playing. And 2 of those players will make it to the round of 8. So it looks like we're getting, I think, a very nice distribution of players, and getting the best 8 players I think the UK has to offer.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty nice overall distribution. Nice even race distribution. Hopefully, we'll see some really good games in the next group and in the round of 8.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Thursday's games. I myself will be playing in those. But it should be a good one to watch as well. So before we close out the stream, do you have any last words, Joey?
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Keep supporting the UKSC2 League and follow UKSC2 on Twitter and join the Discord if you want to be involved in the community. And yeah, that's all really. Just thank you very much.
Yeah, and biggest shout out to Volticus again for making it all happen. He really has put in a lot of effort to make this tournament occur, and I'm really grateful for him for doing that. So thanks for watching everyone, and see you next time.